All right, what's up, guys? Connor Ferguson here. Welcome to episode 177 of the Always Race Day podcast. Once again, we're brought to you by the fine folks at the Karl Auto Group. Got to mention that. We'll talk about them, obviously, and we'll talk about a couple of big races coming up on Sunday. We're previewing the Indy 500 and Coca Cola 600. Big day of motorsports, big day of racing. In this country and the world as well. And we'll talk about all that, as well as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Getting fined $75,000 after throwing a punch at Kyle Busch on Sunday after the All-Star race. So lots to get into. Very excited to do it. We'll be right with you after you watch the intro. Let's start writing down a script for my intro. I go back and forth on the order of it every week. Why is Caleb still black screen? Is Caleb frozen? Caleb, you are completely frozen.
He is gone.
He is. Oh, now he's really gone. Danny DeLito. All right.
What?
Danny DeLito.
Oh my God. Don't ever say that again.
How have you not heard that? That felt like that one was more mainstream, more you. You would have heard it somewhere around The Office. No? Okay.
No.
It's fair. It's 2019, 2020-ish. Hey, you're back. You good?
Yeah, I'm kind of concerned. My computer has crapped the bed on me twice now since trying to do this, so we'll see how long I last.
No, I love it. It brings a new wrinkle to the show that Caleb could be done talking at any time.
You can see my wrinkles?
Yeah. Sorry if that. You can see like my bright white face with.
So you can see my eight head instead of my forehead.
What were we talking about?
You being gone.
Motorsports. We haven't got into anything yet. We're waiting for you. So without further ado, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. just got fined $75,000. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Fine was needed.
Okay, good. I'm glad. No, we started there. I'm glad. I vehemently disagree.
75,000, a lot. I don't know why they came out to that number. Maybe inflation. I don't know. But like,
yeah, the talk about setting precedents and stuff. The same amount as a penalty for modifying a single source part would be, right?
It's expensive to hit Kyle Busch. Like. It's Richard Childress got $150,000 fine when he did it back in the day. So like it is expensive. They don't like you touching Kyle Busch apparently, but listen, there's debate going on about you can't promote it if you're gonna fine him. It's BS. And
yeah, their creative department is not their competition department.
No, but like that's if you're going like. That is sellable. Like that is what gets butts in the seats.
Yeah.
People tried to argue with me and say that, that's not making the, ticket office, buzz today and blah, blah, blah. I guarantee that there was more people who said, I wonder if there's going to be retaliation. We should go to that race. Way more people than decided, there was a fight last week, so let's not go to Charlotte this week. That didn't happen. So don't tell me that it doesn't sell. And I don't understand how you can say, don't. The only thing I'll say is NASCAR necessarily doesn't need to be promoting it themselves.
They should. I think you're dumb not to. You're going to leave page views like that on the table? Hell no.
But I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I had a conversation with several people about it today, and I just don't agree with their points on it. The hockey was built on fights, but NASCAR wasn't. And then, you bring up and there's a fight.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's like the biggest scene of any vintage NASCAR. If you're telling the story of NASCAR, that's like one of the leading things that you talk about.
And I saw one of the media members be like, well, that was 45 years ago, or, what, it was way more than that. But, and like, you can't say, well, hockey was built on that, motorsports wasn't, but then also say, well, that was a long time ago, and this is now like, no, it's stupid of NASCAR if you're not going to capitalize on getting attention.
Yeah.
And on the
keep
flip
going,
side
you're
of that, though, you can't make it okay for the drivers to just go assault people. Like you have to say, hey, this isn't allowed. But on the other hand, I mean, as somebody who has worked at a racetrack, there's two different audiences that you have to get. You have to get the racers. So from a PR standpoint, it's messaging. On the racer side of the messaging, it's the rules, the schedule, all that. On the audience side, it's the entertainment, all that. You have two different audiences. And so on one side for NASCAR, you have to manage your drivers, and there's behavior that you can't just allow to be rampant. But then on the other audience side, you've got your fans, and you got to lean into what sells.
Yeah, and real quick and I'll try to keep mine short before Damon goes, but you're talking about hockey and, the fights around that. Mark Stone and Jamie Benn got into it last year. I think Jamie tried to basically murder him on the ice. It was like I had to do mental gymnastics to sarcastically defend the captain of my favorite team that beat Damon's favorite team a couple weeks ago in the playoffs. More people went to Vegas Golden Knights games this year. I think they topped their attendance stuff. It doesn't turn people away. So if you have that mindset where you see a bad fight and you're not going to go back to the racetrack, especially what that was, compared to a dirt, I can see different circumstances being different, right? But it doesn't turn people away. It sells. Sunday's race was not good. It was not a great event. Or I shouldn't say that. It was not a great race. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. made that a great event. Just with that scene, he got NASCAR on about every mainstream news source on Sunday night and Monday with punching Kyle Busch one time. And then the mob that ensued after. It was a moment, right? That's what was playing on all these sports shows. Is the I think Pat McAfee's one of the few guys that really goes out of his way to try to cover all the leagues, not just the NBA and NFL. But you think SportsCenter is talking about NASCAR? If there wasn't a fight Sunday, hell no. Absolutely not. They aren't touching it. So NASCAR owes the only thing that was actions detrimental to the sport that happened this week was NASCAR fining him, suspending his dad, and suspending the two crew members for 4 races or whatever the penalty was for that. Also, no one on Kyle Busch's team, so it's fine for these two pit guys to help defend their driver in a skirmish, whatever you call it, fracas. But Stenhouse's guys can't defend their driver? Why? Like, I don't understand that aspect of this whatsoever. That you only suspend crew guys from one team. I don't think any of them should have gotten suspended, is my take. But, I mean, come on. The $75,000 is obviously just egregious.
I don't know. After hearing a little bit of Caleb's side, I can start to understand it a little bit as to why you fine. Like, you can't just have guys going and throwing fists because of essentially for no reasoning. But
I think you can.
I don't think you can. But
who are you going to lay a hand on just because?
I think you can do whatever the hell you want.
I suppose you can, but like,
but even fighting,
have a reason to go out. And punch somebody.
I think just to go off of it though, like, I wasn't a fan of the fine when it came out. When I saw that this morning, I wasn't a fan of it because of it being so promoted so quickly. It's one thing to promote it 3, 4, 5 days after the fact, but it was on the social media account that night. Like that, not even the race 20 minutes over, and NASCAR is retweeting videos and posting videos from the fight. Okay.
That's what they should be doing. That moment just has to get on the internet as quickly as you can.
As they should.
Yeah,
But
but
that's my point.
Those aren't the people making those tweets and
understand
promoting
that.
that are told to promote the sport. That's not the competition department.
I have not missed this shit. God.
Tell the competition department to take the stick out of their ass. Seriously, $75,000? Are you kidding me? Appeals panel, whatever this group of people that are supposed to be outsiders decides.
The penalty was a lot.
The penalty is a lot. Don't fine him that much money. And the thing that bothered me the most was you only fined one side of the whole deal. You know, you don't have to fine Kyle Busch because the only punch that he threw landed on Stenhouse's dad. You want to fine Stenhouse's dad, kick him out indefinitely, that's fine because his dad shouldn't have been fighting to begin with. He's not a part of the team. He's not a part of the crew. He's not on the traveling roster.
I like the dad's fighting. Don't start spreading that because then if my kid gets in a fight at his Little League baseball game, I can't go and punch an 8-year-old. Are you kidding me?
No,
you're telling me that. Unbelievable.
Oh boy, we've seen that too. So let me ask you this then. Do you think that nothing really happened to Kyle as far as like the intentional wrecking because it was the All-Star race? Like, do you think if that happens at a points paying event, then Kyle gets in trouble?
No.
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 We've seen Ross Chastain wreck how many people? And I don't think he's...
Yeah, but that's on him being... That's not on purpose. That's not intentionally wrecking. We've seen...
There's been some times.
Do you think though that in the moment they viewed that as an intentional wreck in the moment?
Yes,
NASCAR?
it was very obviously
clearly to us, yes, but NASCAR is also very, very well known that they can't see half the shit half the time anyway.
Well, and you gotta really tread lightly on that line, right? You don't want to start over penalizing people. That's when it gets unwatchable. That's why I don't watch Formula One anymore. That was the first thing that got me out of that sport back in 2016 when I started watching.
That's why I'm saying I don't think that they do anything to Kyle because of, even if it was a points race, they don't do anything. What bothers me on that whole deal, you don't have to fine Kyle Busch at all, right? What Kyle did is he didn't do anything wrong. But the crew guys, when you fine one team's crew guys, then or suspend one team's crew guys, now you've got a precedent that you just set. When you've got a dude who's bigger than all three of us combined throwing guys off the back of a trailer. Like, it's a bad look that you're finding one team and it's not the guy who's throwing people off the back of a trailer. That's where I have a problem with the whole deal, and the fact that you fine Ricky as much money as you did. You want to fine him $5,000, $10,000, whatever, give him a slap on the wrist, fine. But I mean, how do we know that Ricky doesn't even make that driving that car sometimes? Because it's not like it's a top tier team and it's not like it's a top tier ride, as Kyle Busch pointed out.
So I want to give credit to this one, and on the whole skirmish and stuff, no problem with what those pit crew guys did for Kyle Busch's team. When I said I don't want to see either of them penalized. They did exactly what you're supposed to. You're supposed to police your teammates, and they did fine. Or police and protect, right?
Like play human Donkey Kong.
Is that what you call that? Those damn tires
protecting the castle. What do you think?
Say that.
It was one guy protecting the castle. Did you play Donkey Kong as a kid? Because that was exactly it.
Like, it was literally like, it's just human barrels.
That guy was one arm swinging dudes. He threw his own guy at one guy.
That was probably the funniest moment. I'm like, dude, know who you got. He's like turning to him. He's like, it's me. No, but from Matt Weaver wrote a great opinion piece from sportsnot.com. And this is a couple paragraphs from it, but he asks, is the implication here that NASCAR would rather send the message that Kyle Busch had in the first place? As long as it's not a right rear hook sending a car head on into a fence at an intermediate track, it's fair game, apparently. Michael McDowell right rear hooked Bubba Wallace at Bristol in the 2020 All-Star race. Carson Hocevar right rear hooked Taylor Gray in the Spring Truck Series race at Martinsville. No penalties from either of those incidents. The penalties come when you're on an intermediate track or bigger. It seems in short track racing's then kind of the Wild West, but I don't know. It's just like,
I mean,
I don't think some of those probably should have been penalties in different we'd have to go back and chart it. And
yeah, it gets really tough because it's like, yeah, okay, first off, what I will say is Kyle Busch did not right rear Stenhouse. So that's a difference.
But is that the only way to wreck someone on purpose? And
no, but
is that the only way to penalize someone for wrecking someone on purpose? Does it matter how you take them out? If you take them out?
My point is, though, and we don't see eye to eye on this, I already know, but like rearing somebody is like the worst thing you can do when you're in a race car. Like that is seen as like gloves off, like that's the ultimate disrespect. So like that's a whole different thing because like you're pretty much turning somebody head on into the wall. So that's a little bit different compared to the other ones, but you could technically make a case too that like it's safer to intentionally wreck somebody at a short track, but you don't want to start cutting hairs that thin because really like at Bristol, it's not like it's, you're going pretty fast there. So I don't know. It's just kind of one of those things that it's going to depend on the situation, and each one is going to have to be, individually evaluated.
Damon's itching to say something from the look on his
Damon's face is. I'm trying not to.
Are you like trying to find like your opinion here?
I have, like I said, I have my opinion on it. You want to fine Ricky, that's fine. But don't find him as much. And, if you want to send a message that way, that's fine. But don't promote it so much to the point where it's now got drivers commenting.
I'm not letting you say that. Drivers are pissed that he got fined in the penalty. And
I agree.
About it, right?
In my standing, I don't think
don't say that after on this show we've said that, hey, what's part of IndyCar's problem? And you guys all chimed in and said they don't market enough. It's not out there enough. No, I post it as much as you can. Promote the crap out of it. I want everything.
What I'm saying, though, is you can't, if you're going to fine him, you cannot fine him that much money if you're going to throw that kind of promotion at it.
I was leading into it a little bit, but I
think
what
I'm trying to get at.
Stupid almost every time. They don't discourage anyone to do it again. Ricky would still do that again next week. If the same situation presented itself, he'll do it again. If everything was identical, right? That fine doesn't stop him from doing it again. That fine isn't going to discourage him from doing it again. It's just going to cost him a lot of money and line NASCAR's pockets. He'd still absolutely do it again. I think he'd tell you that to a face, to a camera, to anywhere.
No, but let's say it happens again this week, and
then it sounds like a Kyle Busch problem before it sounds like a Ricky problem to me.
Shut the fuck up and listen.
You don't listen.
I get really excited.
Let's say the same thing happens again this week. Kyle Busch wrecks Ricky Stenhouse. Ricky goes, throws a punch at Kyle. He falls, smacks his head open on a hauler. Okay? Listen, you now have a lawsuit on your hands, and if they're going to try to come at NASCAR, at least NASCAR can say, hey, listen, we tried to curtail this by fining, Ricky this amount of money last week. Like we've tried to set the precedent that this isn't okay. That's how they can also cover their butts a little bit from some of that stuff too. And I'm not saying that's the only reason that they fined him, but that also, kind of sends the message that way.
Yeah, it's the sending the message, I think, is the biggest thing that we should take out of this.
You can send the same message. You can send the same message with a press release that says, hey, don't do that again.
That's not.
No.
We told them we discouraged it. That's all you have to do. It's money for NASCAR too. It's not $75,000 that NASCAR puts in their pocket and can use for anything they want.
It's not for NASCAR. Fines. Elton Sawyer has said the fines go to the NASCAR Foundation.
Do they? Okay. A little less gross, but still pretty gross.
Well, it's been that way for like
forever.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
that one time in my life.
ever since they started the NASCAR Foundation, as far as I know, they've been giving the fines to that.
Sounds like they market really, really well.
I mean, everybody else knew, you just didn't.
Really.
It's news to me.
I think for me, the whole thing, you want to fine him. You want to promote it, but you've got to be able to hand down equal to the crew guys in this situation, in my opinion, because now you just condone what the Kyle Busch crew guys did, but not the Stenhouse guys. I get it. Stenhouse guys are on. I get it that they're on Kyle Busch's hauler. That's a whole different conversation that we could get into and spend another half hour on. But you're not taking into the fact that there's a guy throwing dudes off of a hauler. I don't care if it's his or not, and he gets let go free on this.
Do you think? Hey, no. He's going to go crazy. Come here. Do you think part of the reason that Stenhouse's fine was so high was because he threw a punch at Kyle Busch in like floral yellow board shorts?
No, I thought his outfit was great.
I was going to go with this medium shirt.
Yeah, and I think my boss tweeted Ricky went and sat there for 2 hours to find the tightest shirt that he owns, so that he looked a little bigger during the fight. And
it worked.
Whether that's what happened or not, Ricky, great move.
It was so funny because like I could tell that he was gonna hit him. Like I could tell it was coming, and then when like Ricky gets knocked over and you can see him in those shorts, I mean, I just heard screaming. I was like, he just fought him in like yellow board shorts.
I think the only thing would have made it better if he came out there wearing either Hey Dudes or flip flops. Like either one of those would have been better.
Like a bro tank.
Oh, comes out in a small bro tank. Here he is, just trucking out there in that. Yeah.
Hey, he didn't look like the.
He didn't help himself. Let's put it that way.
You say he didn't help himself?
No, he didn't help himself for the fine purposes. He did. For the fashion. He did for the fashion side, but for the fine purpose, he didn't.
I don't know. I'd love to. At least the $75,000 fine would make sense if we knew there was someone at NASCAR that was like, dude, those yellow board shorts suck, man. I'm adding $25,000 to this.
It would have been $74,000 if he came out in full fire suit.
God, man.
What's next? Coke 600?
Real quick, I just want to highlight that we just spent 22 minutes talking about that, and we didn't mention the race at all.
Yeah,
and we can talk about the race too.
You mentioned it. You said it sucked.
Joey Logano dominated.
It wasn't great. NASCAR always tries stuff. I will reiterate, like I do every year, NASCAR still runs the best all-star event of anyone in sports. The NHL got rid of theirs. The Pro Bowl's a damn joke, as is the NBA and their all-star game, not to mention that. In what's the other one? Baseball, it hasn't mattered since they took away the home field advantage to the winner. So best rule that was ever taken away, by the way. Yeah, the race. Caleb, how about you? I cut you off again. I'm trying not to.
I think it was better than it was last year, and I thought it was pretty solid for a new repave. So
the high grooves got me excited for what the future is at North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, so like I mean, I was in the opinion it was fine, and I'm of the opinion of like it definitely could have been worse. So we'll yeah, I mean it just I wasn't super like mad about the fact that Logano dominated because it seemed like Fox actually did a decent job of showing other racing and stuff going on. It's probably one of the better broadcasts that Fox has had.
I agree. Year. We need to give them their flowers after your shit storming of them a few episodes.
Yeah. So you know, I thought it was fine. I just I'd give it a medium. Like
these tires got to be softer. I'm not going to take the engineer spin to this because I don't know all the technology that goes into it and why it's so hard to find that area. But the red tires just did not wear enough. And you have a great idea there. It works in theory. It still works, but not like that. You did it wrong. Yeah, the execution wasn't there in the tires where you needed it to be. I almost just want those Bristol tires and don't tell anyone we're changing them. Every week, just put those on and let teams figure it out.
Yeah, my hope is they'll get it figured out because it would be cool to have. I mean, like IndyCar and stuff, F1, they managed to do it, so it would be cool to see that down the road.
Yeah, and Firestone's never had an issue with it. Why is Goodyear having so many? That's my public question I'd like to air out there. It's Damon. Got you, Damon.
We're talking about the tires when, the tires could have fallen off a little bit more as they were hoping. But this car is still terrible.
Okay, I was wondering where you were going. Okay, that's fine.
We're not talking about the whole point of this, the bad racing that we're seeing on short tracks. It's not the tire, because clearly the tire made a difference at Bristol, right? And those cars, all of a sudden, it looked like one guy was sitting still and we're throwing 100 mile an hour around him. But the car itself is awful. Larson had how many fresher laps on tires and still couldn't get by first and second?
Yeah.
That's a problem, and it's not because of the tires. That is a car issue. That is a aerodynamic car issue.
I agree.
Having a problem.
Now, hold on, because I baked you this. You were right, Kate, a while ago, that this is the worst car NASCAR has ever put out. Not the worst package, but the worst car for sure. Where do you go next? Are you throwing them all away?
Well, they're too deep into it now.
We're going to need to find more people to throw the cars away and get new ones.
The first thing, in my opinion, you try is give them horsepower back. You haven't tried it. You got to do something.
I get it, and I'll still ask for that. I think a lot of people will still ask for it. I think
I just want to see them try it.
Yeah.
I just want to see them try it. I don't care if it doesn't work, that's fine. But at least try it. You've tried every other thing you possibly can think of to the point that you built the worst car ever. So now try it by giving them horsepower. The engine department has already said that it's not going to cost any more to give them more horsepower.
I think their biggest concern is the fans have said, and I'm going to use air quotes when I say fans, the fans have said that they want the cars close together. And I think I think NASCAR is set on that's what we need to have. And so I think they're worried if they change the horsepower again, they're going to have the fanning out. They're going to have the large domination, all that stuff. So I almost wonder if, that's why they won't.
Yeah,
I think that
I would like to see them try it with this car. Like that, if it comes out to that, like you're saying, Caleb, and that's what happens, and it becomes where a guy is just wiping the field all the time. I would like to see them at least try it. Prove us wrong, basically, right. Is the best way of putting it. And I know that it's the fan council, whatever, that is saying these things, that the fan council has also been wrong to what the actual fans have been wanting for years. But you got to try it.
I'm hesitant to. There's I always, someone presents something to me and I ask myself, logically, does this make sense? And you guys are probably looking at me crazy because I don't think before I talk most of the time. But when I do, it's there's absolutely no way the only thing NASCAR is looking at is that little fan council survey. And I don't know who votes in that. I think I've followed one person on Twitter that has ever voted in it. I believe it's Dylan Gooden. I hope he is fine with me using his name. Big Landon Castle guy. Love Dylan. I follow 5,000 people. A lot of them NASCAR people. I only see people going, what is this result of this fan council poll? I never see any of these fans voting in it.
I used to.
So, former member. Why do you exit?
Well, because
it's not representing us. I'm going to talk to you like a bad politician, Caleb. I'm not going to let you speak.
They pulled his card.
No, technically, as a media person, like a member
that
of
makes
the
sense.
media,
Yeah.
you're not to be on it. So, since
No alias, we could have came up with one for you.
I know, if I tried, but so yeah. I want your guys' thoughts on. I don't know if you guys have heard much for rumors as far as silly season stuff.
Oh no, this is one we needed to cover for sure.
But
it's out there.
It does sound like we're gonna get a bombshell in the next week, and I don't know where you guys were at. Originally, it was that Stewart Haas was having a divorce. They were going to go their separate ways. Haas was going to field a car for Cole Custer, and Stewart was going to keep like 2 of the charters. Now it sounds like they're going to be going bye-bye completely.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking. So, Damon, you talk. Sorry.
I am shocked that they're not going to keep 2 of the charters. I think that was the biggest thing for me is if Tony gets out of it completely. I know Tony's having a hell of a lot more fun running his Top Fuel dragster team right now and his Fuel Funny Car team than he is running NASCAR, and it's showing. I don't know if he's making any more money off of it or not, but I'm kind of shocked because Tony has brought along, like Tony brought Josh Berry in, like that was his choice. He brought Ryan Preece in. Those were his choices to do that, and it makes you think now that if Gene Haas does keep one of the charters to run Cole Custer in a Cup car, it makes you think that Tony's kind of lost some of his saying power, I guess, within the organization, and maybe it's, I don't know. And
Briscoe,
I don't think we'll ever know.
Briscoe is one of those too that Tony, really went out for. Yeah, it now sounds like the rumor is they're going to even Haas is going to be out. So it sounds like Custer's probably headed back to the Xfinity Series, which I think is probably
there's a lot of moving parts here that we don't even have a glimpse of yet.
It's going to be
people that the day that sell goes and they're like, hey, Chase Briscoe's a free agent, I'm calling him now. There's and
so there's a whole bunch of dominoes. Basically, the rumor mill is that it's already figured out where most of these people are going to go, outside of Preece and Berry. But it sounds like Gregson is going to go to Front Row, and Zane Smith, Shane Van Gisbergen will end up at Trackhouse. McDowell's going to Spire, right?
Yes.
Okay, I just want none of this is anywhere close to official. Maybe
the McDowell is.
Yeah, McDowell is,
McDowell,
but otherwise,
Spire is confirmed.
Yeah,
I got the McDowell thing came.
Yeah. So it's going to be insane, and I don't remember who said it, but somebody that was in the garage basically said I don't know. Somebody had asked how long this silly season is, going to be or whatever, and they said expect it to go through February of next year. So it's going to be a wild one.
That's only because Front Row waits until the week before racing season starts to tell everyone who's driving for them. So that's, by the way, that's the dumbest damn way you can do it. Idiots. Sorry. Tell everyone who's driving for you. Promote their name. Let them know that Michael McDowell drives the number 34 yellow car.
Yeah, I'm
he's
sure.
Won a Daytona 500.
I'm
he
sure.
made a lateral move to go race for another team.
I'm sure the reason
him the week
that
before
they
the
wait,
season starts.
They wait specifically just to bug people like you. I'm sure there's no other reason.
It doesn't do anything for you. It hurts your team. You're getting less attention on your drivers because no one knows who's driving for you.
Purpose that they might not have a guy in the seat yet by that time.
They might not have the contract figured out, or they might have to wait on something. When
you do it 8 years in a row, it becomes kind of like it sounds like you're doing this on purpose, and this isn't just coincidentally. It happens the same week every year.
Well,
don't have the sponsorship money to field the car, you can't field the car.
And maybe they're just always really behind. Maybe
I didn't know Lowe's Travel Centers or Love's Travel Centers was on a different car the last 8 years.
Maybe think of it. Maybe they have people that have to pick up the slack of doing that stuff, and they don't have 10 people to do it like a Penske or Hendrick does. Maybe they only got 5 people. So instead of having that stuff done in November, December, maybe it's January, February by the time it gets done. There's so many reasons other than, you know what? I think we'll just wait.
That's what it comes off as. It's not very smart to just wait. So maybe they're not just waiting. And I trust that everyone there works very, very hard. Right? Not a question.
He hopes everybody at Front Row works really hard.
I didn't say hope. I said I trust. I trust that they all work hard. A minute and a half ago. Did I say hope?
Yeah.
Oh, I meant trust. Anyway.
A minute and a half ago, he just called you idiots, but now
it is stupid to withhold who is driving for you until a week before the season starts every year. You should promote your drivers. You should tell everyone who's going to be in those cars. Typically, it's done. It's going to be done. They wait. They do 1-year contracts, and then they take a guy like Landon Castle and they kick him to the sea.
I knew it was
for an average driver that leaves their team for a lateral move.
Anyway, no one knows.
You can't see the hands when I do that. Damn. Damon's got me all riled up again.
Anyway, no one knows where anybody's going. So, moving on.
The Indy 500 is Sunday, and the Coke 600 is too.
Hopefully, I'm as somebody who is going. I am scared.
Yeah, you're hoping that it's Sunday.
I'm really hoping it's Sunday. I'm hoping that it happens. I'm hoping, that forecast does not look good.
Optimism.
You really led with the positive news.
Bring the positive.
I mean, it's the obvious. It's
the
like
vortex.
Damon, anytime I bring up Logan Schumann.
It's not even that it's like there's like a small chance of rain or whatever. Like it is for a week now. The forecast has been rain all day long. Like,
and what is it? Monday? What did we say? 40%.
Yeah, it's pretty.
And that's 40% of the area, right? It's not the chance.
Well, the good news is it's only like a 2.5 mile area, so it's a fairly large area too compared to. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Kyle Larson does. Hopefully, he gets a chance to race it. I mean, that's the other thing.
Yeah. Can I put? I mean, I think other people share this opinion with me, but Kyle Larson's whole. I can't wait to see what this is that Caleb is mouthing to me. But
I said probably not. You said other people share your opinion in it.
Okay. I thought you knew what I was going to say, and we're already like disagreeing with it because you might. But Kyle Larson's main focus and Hendrick Motorsports plans should be for him to run the Indianapolis 500. No matter when it is at. I don't care if he misses the Coke 600. Don't care about him racing in that event whatsoever.
No. And he's already said that's not the deal. Hendrick has already
I know. Trust me. I've seen the quotes put out publicly. I'm saying that shouldn't be how this thing goes.
Because here's the thing, Connor. What if does NASCAR give him a waiver for missing the Coke 600?
They shouldn't.
They should.
They should not.
Are we going to preemptively have this debate? I'm fine with it. Let's do it. I want any NASCAR driver winning the Indy 500 does more for NASCAR single-handedly than anywhere they would finish in the Coca Cola 600 on the same day. Does not matter who it is. Does not matter why it is.
The whole thing is it is the double for a reason. Like it's not where he finishes; it's that he finishes.
Well, and the rule is not if you attempt every race. Unless you've done a lot to contribute to.
I don't care what I don't care what the rule book says. I don't. Oh,
okay.
Clearly,
NASCAR got rid of any sense of precedence that it had with the penalties they put out today. I mean, like there's 17 counts of the 5 penalties we had. There's different ways that they're crossing over different opinions they've had throughout the years. They completely contradict themselves. You should want a NASCAR driver that is brave enough to go try and race the Indy 500 and try and do well in it and qualify well and do really well so far in practice. You should want a NASCAR guy in the Indy 500. It's the biggest race of the year. You prove your skill a lot. But I mean, a lot more than you do driving one of the next gen cars for sure. You should want him over there competing and contending like many think he's going to. He qualified top 5 for crying out loud. He should be there racing it no matter what.
Okay, they probably want
real
him
quick,
and he should still make the playoffs. It'd be really stupid to have a win-in-your-end playoff system that he doesn't make because he went and raced in the biggest race in the world.
You're saying one word that is the big overlying this. Should.
Okay.
Rick Hendrick has said he wants Kyle Larson to run the Indy 500. He said,
"Yeah, no, I believe that is
specifically about this. He has
thanks
said,
for pointing that out. Yes,
he has said he wants Kyle Larson to run it. He is going to have a really hard time pulling Kyle out of that car if it comes to that. But he also knows where his money is made, and it's not at Indianapolis that day.
Well, and here's the thing too. We can't even question whether NASCAR wants him to do this or not, because they've already changed the rules for him and they've already pushed the race back for him for the All-Star race.
Were you one of the people that were pissed about the 16-minute delay in the All-Star race?
I didn't say I was pissed about it.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
It's obviously evident that they want this.
Yeah,
but where's the line?
There isn't one.
Okay, so when Briscoe decides, hey, I want to take off this race because I want to go race, this really big dirt race.
Is it a sprint car race?
Sure.
Okay, sure. He can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Well, is he in a playoff spot right now?
That doesn't matter though. What if he, isn't right now, but then 2 weeks from now he could go win. Then he's in a playoff spot. That's you are physically taking the line and you are just blending it by opening up to that change.
I also think moving the start time of the All-Star race back 16 minutes is not near as big of a deal as opening a whole new can of worms for a guy not being able to make the start of a race. Like that, you think back to hell, I think back to 2004 when Dale Jr. got burned in Sonoma, right? And Martin Truex had to come finish that race for him at New Hampshire, right? Dale Jr. got in the car that day because it was a points purpose. Kyle Larson has to start the Coke 600 for points purposes. And that's where the money's made. You can't just create a new rule because of it. And I'm a Kyle Larson fan. It's pretty damn clear that I'm a fan and I want to see him run both races. But at the end of the day, if it's going to possibly run the risk of costing him a championship, or on the other turn, it's going to allow other drivers to choose to take an off weekend freely without penalty, then you can't be about that. It's basically
the biggest thing is
what you're opening here, and like Caleb pointed out, if anybody else think of a guy who's already won this year, like a William Byron, right? If he chooses next week, he wants to take the weekend off because he wants to go fishing with his buddies, and you let Kyle take.
Let me take your original point. I'll take.
But you take Kyle off of the race this weekend. It's the same. There's no conversation different.
You said you want him at Charlotte to start that race because that's what the rules say. What's the difference between him being in that car for 2 laps, saying I'm sick, pulling down pit road, getting out of it? So you started the race, and now we're counting it as you attempted. So what is the difference of him going there, running 2 laps, and leaving? Now that's not where the timeline would match up in this case. Hypothetical though. What is the difference between him running 2 laps and 0?
That's NASCAR's rule book, though. That's what I'm saying.
Stupid rules exist, and they can still be stupid. Just because they are rules doesn't mean they are right.
The difference is, though, you're not going to have somebody in that location. Like, you're not going to bring somebody to a track to put them in for 2 laps and then have them leave more than likely. I mean,
yeah.
But then you still have those cases for like sickness or injury, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, you can get real defined on it. But yeah, what would stop then at that point? What's to stop William Byron from going, oh, well, I've got a couple wins, I'm just going to go do this weekend?
Well, he gets
and
a
then,
penalty. You don't get to just skip the race because we don't give you a waiver for that. You don't get to skip the race to go fishing.
So
where's the line?
Larson gets to skip the race.
Right.
It's
It's right after.
Hobby?
I don't want the line is right after the Knoxville Nationals for sure.
God.
Yeah, okay.
Everything above that line, and I'll add races to that as this season goes. How about
Okay,
that?
so
We'll have a definitive list by the end of the year.
Much like everything, it's just up to what Connor feels is okay.
I think there should be more common sense looked at in rule books and a lot of the things we do in society and in sports and everything, that it should be a case-by-case thing. Yeah, I think Kyle Larson should still be able to race in the playoffs if he's racing in the Indy 500 and can't get to Charlotte in time. Absolutely.
Here's the problem, though. If I'm NASCAR, okay, and
you better make a different point.
Listen,
we've spent way too much on a hypothetical that might not happen.
If I'm NASCAR and you guys are both drivers, if you come to me and say, hey, I want to go do my hobby instead, it's really meaningful. If I look at you and say, okay, you can go do that, we'll give you a waiver, but then Damon comes and says the same thing, and I decide, well, your hobby isn't as important to me, or your thing isn't.
How much is Damon's hobby?
Stop talking.
Here's the thing. If I, as NASCAR, say, Damon, in my eyes, your thing just isn't as important to me, shut up. That does two things. One, that tells Damon, hey, NASCAR likes Connor more. And that tells the fans that same thing. Like, you just create more problems by doing that.
Does Damon's hobby help NASCAR in the grand scheme of motorsports and their product? Does his hobby, quote unquote hobby, help NASCAR as much as mine is, hypothetically, me being Kyle Larson, which is
I think at that point
a terrible mix of our minds.
I think at that point NASCAR is going to pull the TV numbers and say,
you put me in the hypothetical. Oh, you're saying that Indy, okay.
NASCAR is going to pull the TV numbers and say, we have 10 times as much audience. Why do we care if...
You think 10 times as many people are going to watch the Coke 600 as the Indy 500?
No.
The Indy 500 will smash NASCAR ratings.
10 times more people are going to watch the Coke 600 that normally wouldn't.
But even as a season in whole, NASCAR is going to say, we dominate their TV numbers.
They don't on Memorial Day Sunday, and that's why this is such a big deal to race.
But okay, so here's the thing, because people only tune in for Indy 500. So how many of those people that only tune in for Indy 500,
they're going to say, oh my God, there's a NASCAR driver named Kyle Larson in this race. I'm interested to see how he does. Like the dozens of people that watched IndyCar qualifying just on my Twitter feed alone for the first time in their lives to see how he did. Because he's drawing new eyes to the sport. And he's a NASCAR driver. He's not a sprint car late model, Silver Crown midget. What else?
They're watching. What kind of people are they, though, that they were watching IndyCar qualifying for the first time? So what motorsports fans are they right now?
I saw Formula One fans. Half those were Formula One fans retweeted by other people onto my timeline.
So you think
I do follow F1 fans too. Trust me.
So you think NASCAR is really interested in getting those people so that they watch NASCAR?
Yeah, any sort of new fans, Caleb. Yes.
Because why are they? So if they're an F1 fan, why are they curious to see Kyle Larson in an Indy car?
Because they've heard so much about how this driver is way better than Bozo over there that races at Red Bull.
I think the point that you're trying to make is they're already somewhat interested in NASCAR. And that's why they're following that storyline. Yeah, I mean,
you're trying to say that, okay.
You have to be somewhat interested in, like, if you're going to tell me that these people are watching IndyCar for the first time because of Kyle Larson, they have to have some sort of interest in NASCAR.
Yeah, and Kyle Larson is one of the greatest up-and-coming drivers. He's the greatest up-and-comer of working his way towards legend status the fastest right now. He's pound for pound number one, and his name alone draws viewers to whatever he's watching. And I don't think a ton of those people already watch a ton of NASCAR.
But the fact of the matter is, if those people who rarely turn in are only going to watch the Indy 500, if they're not going to be a week in, week out IndyCar watcher, NASCAR's probably not going to be too concerned about them either.
All right, you got to win them over with your product during the show to convince them to watch more races. You're getting into a marketing debate about.
Well, that's what
he should still be in the playoffs. Like, it's stupid to say that if he didn't race this because he was racing in the Indy 500, he shouldn't get in the playoffs. Every example includes, well, if this happened to someone else, well, this is Kyle Larson. He's racing in the Indy 500. That should come first.
The problem, though, is exactly that. This is Kyle Larson. And so what's to stop then from...
You're asking me the same question, Caleb.
Yeah, but that's the problem. If person number 2 tries to do the same thing...
Is he racing in the Indy 500?
But where's the line?
I don't know. It's not the greatest motorsports race in the world, though. I know that.
Next year, Kyle Larson wants to go race the Monaco Grand Prix, and he wants out of the Coke 600. Do we let him do that?
No.
Just because that's what Connor has decided is that, like, that's the problem. You've just blurred the line.
Why would I let one of my stars go sit in a back marker car at a track that you can't pass at anyway?
This argument is a joke.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
He could be the best driver of all time and still finish 19th in Formula One.
That's not the point.
Doesn't help you.
So you're saying then if Larson was in a Graham Rahal car and qualified 33rd for the Indy 500, NASCAR shouldn't give him a waiver then?
Why not?
Because he's going to finish 33rd.
You don't know that.
You don't know that he'd finish 19th.
Indy 500 every year. He could finish 34th. He could finish first last.
Graham Rahal's lucky he didn't finish 34th.
He killed it in that qualifying session. Bumped out that Nolan Siegel.
No, Nolan Siegel bumped himself out.
Well, Nolan Siegel was slower that lap. I thought, in respect to the kid, he was going for it, and I wish they hadn't shown the time before he took himself out.
We should have just let him die a hero.
Oh man, dude! I was like, geez, that's rough. Like, they said he's slow, he's not going to make it, and he would have been told on the backstretch, man, you're going slower. Just pull it in. I
give him props that one.
He clearly has balls. He drove the car up to the line. Like,
rebuilding the confidence after his first wreck, but then too, like, they told him, they were like, do not lift for whatever reason. Well, by God, he did not. Like, I thought it was really cool to see, and there was a lot of people, including Connor's Graham Rahal, that gave him a lot of props for that.
That's fair. I like Graham. Won't deny anything.
He almost missed the race again, Connor.
Dude, what is the Indy 500 if not?
And if it wasn't for a guy getting hurt last year, he would have missed the race.
Yeah. I don't understand. Takuma Sato has been in the top 10 the whole month of May. And Takuma's just here for fun. Like,
I'm going to sit here and tell you that I'm a Graham Rahal guy. Like, I've liked Graham Rahal for a long time.
Yeah, but you're way worse at mental gymnastics. Hold
on. Mainly because he stole one of the best funny car racers in the world and decided to make her a mom. But anyway, that's a whole different story for a different day.
Did she get a waiver for the time away from the track?
No, she just quit racing. So because of Graham Rahal. So Graham and I have a little bit of beef there, but the fact that he basically missed the show 2 years in a row. Like, he was out again.
He was okay. Time out. You can't say he basically missed it.
Was he in for
out? He's the top 33.
Last.
He's literally the last possible dude into the show.
Yeah, they had a midweek engine switch, right? Am I correct on that? They changed an engine at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
It doesn't defeat the purpose here.
He still made it's
Takuma Sato literally is in the same stable. They pulled the car out of the same hauler, and it is 23 spots better.
Connor,
If every time you put a car together, you tried to put it together the same way, it still can come out different speeds.
Here's the thing. That argument
you guys are taking this way so seriously. Stop it, please.
That argument could be made if, like, Saturday morning they went out for that practice and he blew up and they had to change the motor, and then
who was it? Erickson?
Like then it could be like, listen, understandable.
Oh,
but like you've been dog shit the whole month of May. You can't. Their
Indy 500 program clearly needs work on. As an objective Graham Rahal fan, which you're painting me to be in this segment, he's the greatest in the world. Are you kidding me?
But here's the thing. He's
giving you guys something to talk about. We're again, Indy 500 comes around, we're talking about Graham Rahal again. It's not just because Ohio State football is doing good.
When you say their Indy 500 program needs work, do you mean Graham
ours?
Rahal?
Sorry, as a Graham Rahal fan, ours. There.
So no,
is that the accountability you needed from me?
Do you mean Graham himself or RLL?
Because RL seems fine. It just seems to be Graham.
No, they actually don't seem as fine now looking at the actual starting lineup.
Oh, man.
On your parade, but
no, read them off. I want to hear this. Because I couldn't recall.
Well, if you'd shut up, I would tell you, but you don't stop talking long enough. I can't tell you. Christian Lundgaard starts 28th, and Fittipaldi starts 30th.
Oh. But where's Takuma?
Takuma Sato starts 10th.
Now, is that Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan?
Yeah.
Is that?
Here's what I'm going to say,
with anybody?
Here's what I'm going to say.
You know how they have, like, curb baggage in?
It is an RLL car.
Okay.
Same listed as Graham Rahal, who's starting.
Because the width there would be substantially, like, you'd be viewed as the golden goose.
But here's the thing. Those other two might not be in great qualifying positions, but they didn't have to deal with bump day. Guess what? Graham Rahal has more.
We're giving them credit for being. I mean,
Graham Rahal has
the guy for where he qualifies, and the guy that's 3 spots ahead of him is like miles and bounds different page of the book.
Graham Rahal has more Indy 500 starts than those other two do combined.
Okay.
So
the hardest things to do in sports is make the Indy 500. Everyone knows that. It's said every day.
It's clearly not that hard because everybody has seemed to figure it out except for 4 people in a year.
Like Kyle Larson figured it out pretty fast.
What about Fernando Alonso? Was he?
He made it in his first try.
McLaren,
his second try, he didn't.
McLaren was also a complete trailer fire.
Kurt Busch made it in his first try.
Yeah. Good racer, Kurt Busch is. Go ahead. No, go ahead, Damon. Turn that back against Kurt Busch, please.
No, I'm just saying, if we're going to say Kurt Busch is a good racer, that's why he made the Indy 500. And then you've got Graham Rahal, who's like who
didn't make the show last year in his own car.
Raced in the Indy 500 in someone else's car. That's how good he was. He went to a different team.
No, that's because he's the only guy left on property without a ride.
And what happened? He got in the race. He found a way when all the odds were stacked against him. He found a way to get into the race. And he raced it. I watched. It was good.
Oh, God.
I'm so glad I'm letting.
Can we do our picks?
For this.
This whole podcast was supposed to just be previewing the races Sunday. And so we did 2 hypothetical arguments, 1 real one. And now we're at our picks. So.
Do we really need to make a pick? Like, it's pretty goddamn obvious that you just pick a team and they're going to win it.
New Garden.
Well, I can give you my list.
I'm going to take Scott McLaughlin then.
Are those guys off the board? Is that what we're doing?
Well, they are now.
All right, then I got Alex Palou. Boom.
Ganassi, man.
He's got. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not mistaken. He's got the gay pride flag car, yeah?
Yeah, but he also starts 14th in a Ganassi car as the highest qualified Ganassi.
Yeah, they've struggled.
You guys are really team-focused this year. You should know better than that.
I'm just shocked at how...
Go look up where New Garden started last year, because he started further back. I think he was 17.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Thank you.
But
Graham started 31st? 30. I can't remember. It's a whirlwind of a week.
Graham started 33rd last year because he missed the race.
Okay. So originally, and we always end up doing
guess
this when we
what?
make
He's starting 33rd this year with no driver change.
Are we gonna do? He didn't need one this year. Even better.
They should put Nolan Siegel in that car. Just
don't make. I have no comment on putting Nolan Siegel in. No comment.
The worst part is as I was watching Indy 500 qualifying, I'm sitting there and I'm like, Jesus Christ, Catherine Legg is gonna beat Graham Rahal into the Indy 500.
I was sitting there waiting for the group chat to get the text from Caleb about like, hey,
I thought about it.
Peacock right now? You watching NBC?
If
I
wasn't driving home when that was happening, I thought about it.
I was like, watch, Catherine Legg is gonna beat Graham Rahal in for the Indy 500, and then they're gonna buy her out of a ride, and I'm gonna be pissed. Like, like I'm just so glad that she fucking yeah.
Fucking yeah.
Oh fucking yeah. Catherine Legg was hilarious in her
That's
interview.
a good interview.
Caleb is just glad that Graham Rahal made the show, so Catherine Legg also made the show.
So did you guys watch her interview?
What if they were drafting partners now? The best of both worlds.
Neither one of them is going to finish that good, so I'm not too concerned. Did you guys watch her interview though during like the bump day qualifying?
I listened to, so I was driving home, so I didn't actually get to watch it, but I was listening on IndyCar radio. And if it's anything like her IndyCar radio interview, it was, she basically didn't feel she was going to be safe. The way I understood it.
She was scared, especially like, the close calls that she had and stuff. But they basically asked her like right at the tail end of the qualifying in general, and they're like, what's going through your head? And she responded that I should have gone to college and got a real job.
I saw the one where she was like talking about how nerve-wracking it was, and we got to do the big boy laps now, and I thought that was a great look at it. She was just honest. She was like, I'd like to not qualify again. It's kind of nerve-wracking. Like that's and it was a respectful way. It was very respectable, I thought.
That's why I said, I literally told some of my friends, I was like, if I'm like Ericsson, Legg, Siegel, at the end of the day, I don't ever want to hear the phrase 4-lap average in my life. Like, just
why does Graham get left out of that group? What the hell?
Because he doesn't have many more days left.
Too.
It's time to put that dog down.
His days are numbered.
I wish you would have gotten that one earlier this year. Jeez, slipped away.
All right, well,
I think we'll get another. Oh, okay, so we're halfway done. I don't think we want to do a full draft anyway. Who do you guys have long shots?
I mean, is it fair to say Kyle Larson is a long shot?
I see. That's when I was picturing this game. I was like, is there a list of guys I want to put down?
Like, since it's his first
anything
ever
outside
race
this
in
line,
an IndyCar, is this considered a long shot?
I don't know.
I can argue both sides, honestly.
With his performance, I don't know if I could say it's a long shot, but
that's what I'm saying. He qualified fifth, but it's also his first ever race in an IndyCar, period.
Does Ferrucci count as a
I was just – that's exactly what I was saying.
I think it's the same conversation with Santino. So? I think it's the same conversation. Like, is Santino a long shot? Because
this is reminding me of like if dirt racing especially gets like – and I'm not segmenting out dirt racing fans here, but when you say the word upset, this guy won a race and it was an upset. That triggers a lot of people, and it almost feels like it takes away from the rest of their career. It takes away from their perceived talent. I don't think it does. I don't think that's what you're saying. I think you're saying there's a surprise winner. And like that's the same like long shot. Like Ferrucci's more experienced and has shown quite a bit throughout his career in the Indy 500. I think his odds are quite a bit worse than Larson or were going into qualifying last week.
It's just hard because we haven't seen Foyt's cars with like
speed,
a ton of speed. So it's like
he won 4 Indy 500s, right?
AJ, yeah,
back in the fucking 60s.
Just give me shit.
Things have changed since
We haven't seen his cars fast.
But
My grandpa did.
It's going to be interesting, but I would really love to see Ferrucci get it. I would be hyped for that.
All right. My long shot pick is
the other one.
Oh, go ahead. No, good. No.
If I can't take Larson as a long shot, I'm going to say Ryan Hunter-Reay.
All right. And just as long as we're doing this for points for our end of the year competition, we'll keep track of it. My pick is Graham Rahal.
That's a long shot. It's the longest of long shots.
Does Caleb still get Ferrucci? Because if he's picking Ferrucci, I want to veto. I want to do over.
I'm getting Ferrucci. You take Rahal.
Oh, man. Okay. I want Rahal, but if it ends up being Tony Kanaan, then it's Kanaan. I guess he probably wouldn't count as a long shot. I'll take Rahal to be funny. Anyways, Coke 600, yeah?
Yeah.
My pick for that is Larson.
I
got the last pick in the last draft. Don't shake your head at me as if. Yeah.
So it is a draft.
I at this point, because we're not taking each other's picks, so I guess.
My only reason, and so I'm going to contradict myself here. The reason I wouldn't pick Larson for the Coke 600 is statistically doing the double guys do not do well. However, my contradiction is if any motherfucker can do it, Kyle Larson will be the guy to do it. So it'll be interesting.
What was John Andretti running in points in 2004? Did he do it in 04? Is that
no? John Andretti did it. Well, he might have done it in 04, but John Andretti did it like.
Am I mixing him with Stewart?
John Andretti did it first in the 90s. You're probably mixing him with Stewart, who did it in the early 2000s.
I think I am. I'd be interested to know where they were running in points. And at the same time, Stewart did it. So Stewart, like, hey, what can
Tony's
you say about that,
the only guy to also let's not.
I'd be interested to just look at his finishes in the 600.
Well, Tony was the only guy to finish on the lead lap in both races in the same year, too.
There you go. Yeah.
And let's also not make the misconception of Tony Stewart today versus Tony Stewart in 2002 when he did it or whenever it was, because he's about 100 pounds heavier than he was back then. So,
yeah, no, the only point I was going to make was it's very rare we see a guy at the top of the sport go and do it. I don't think you could say Kurt Busch was there, but I think you could say Tony Stewart was close enough to the top for sure.
Tony won the title in 2002 in Cup. And
yeah, exactly.
When did he win his IndyCar title? 99, 98, 97, something like that.
Yeah, one of those years.
So I would say he was at the top of the game.
Do we got any? I'll give you guys the first two long shot picks for the 600.
Did we not get to make picks for the 600 or not?
Nope. I was hoping you guys glanced past them so I could give you 0 points and take away your playoff waivers, but it didn't quite work.
I'll go with Truex for my 600 pick.
That's a good play. William Byron.
Okay.
I think that's a fair move.
Caleb, your long shot.
Chris Buescher.
Damn.
I like that pick a lot.
Don't hate it at all.
I'm going with his teammate, Brad.
Okay. That's a typical Damon pick. I'm going to go just my gut. I got Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
I don't even know what he means by that. Like, I don't even know.
Damon brings anytime Damon is on our show, Brad Keselowski's getting brought up, and any stat involving Logan Schuchart is getting drugged through the mud.
Not every time.
You missed the dirt show, Caleb. That it's purely coincidental. Damon doesn't do it on purpose at all. I guarantee you he does it. It's funny how often it happens.
It's not I don't do it every time because we're not talking about super speedways every time.
Caleb usually brings it up, to be fair.
Well, when he does, then I'll bring up the fact that Brad Keselowski is one of the best super speedway racers of all time.
Caleb, do I have a question for you? You pick whatever driver you love the most in the Cup Series. They sit out of the Daytona 500. citing your rant on our podcast and protesting super speedway racing. Should they get a playoff waiver?
No.
Oh, wow. Thought I had him.
Thank
Thought I
God you
had him.
made
Even
that
for
point.
defending your cause, man.
Because they're not following the rule of attempting every race.
Oh my God.
It's like the great Michael Scott once said, it's because I hate you.
You have to have cause, Michael. It is because.
I don't like him.
All right. We got anything else? Are we good?
I'm good.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys for listening. Thanks again to the fine folks of the Karl Auto Group. And we will see you guys some point after the 500 and the Coke 600 and everything that happens over the weekend. Thanks again for listening. Love you guys.